Aargau Topsport und Tele1 präsentieren die 22. Ausgabe vom Bademasters vom 19. bis am 21. August. Zum Saisonauftakt der Spitzengörler messen sich die besten Schweizer Görler mit den amtierenden Olympiasieger und Weltmeister aus Schweden sowie mit den absoluten Top-Teams aus Kanada und den USA. Nervenkitzel, der Kampf um jeden Millimeter, grosse Emotionen. Curling Weltklasse direkt vor der Haustür und am Freitag, 19. August auf Tele1. Das Bademasters wird präsentiert von Swisslos Sport von Aargau, V-Zug, einem Schweizer Haushaltgerätehersteller und der Walde Immobilien AG, die Mensch und Immobilien zusammenbringen.
Good evening, Curling World. It is quarter-final time here in Baden. And we have 4 tip-top games for you. You will recognise both of the teams that are out on the ice just now, having a friendly chitter-chatter. Our featured quarter-final this evening, it's a corker. It is 4 out of 4 Team Retornaz of Italy, sitting top of the table. And they are playing against the new Swiss team of Schwaller. It is the Italians who have hammer in this first end, throwing red stones. They get hammer and choice of stones by dint of finishing higher up the table than Team Schwaller. So, my name is Lorna Rettig. I will be guiding us through the game this evening. We have 4 great games for you, so let's say hi to the team in our featured game. The ever-reliable Italians, 4 out of 4 so far this weekend. 4th and skip, Joe Retornaz. 3rd, Amos Mazaner. 2nd, Sebastiano Armand. And newly full-time in the team this year is Mattia Giovanella. And representing Switzerland in these quarter-finals, 4th thrower, Ben Marschforts. 3rd and skip, Yannick Schwaller. 2nd thrower, Sven Michael. And lead thrower, Pablo Lachat. So I think we can definitely say we're in for a tasty encounter. Schwaller did not win all their games though. They lost to Bruce Mouat's team earlier on in the round robin. Only 2 teams undefeated so far. One of them is the Italian team in front of you. And the other is over on sheet 4. We will say hello to the other teams shortly. We started out with 20 teams. 4 groups of 5 teams after everyone's played everyone else. So 4 rounds of round robin for each group. The teams are ranked 1 to 20. And the top 8 teams qualify for these quarter-finals. So we have the best of the best out there just now. That's who else is on the ice this evening. Over on sheet 1, we have the Dutch boys, skipped by Walter Goesgens. My Dutch not getting much better. And they were the first team to qualify with 3 wins for this quarter-final round. They'd already qualified yesterday. They are playing Team Marco Hoesli. And guess who Team Marco Hoesli dumped out? We'll come back to them a bit later. So the Hoeslis on their 3rd game today. But that typically doesn't bother them. They seem to cope pretty well. Over on sheet 3 and 4, you can watch on the static cam. On sheet 3, we have the Olympic representatives for Norway. It is Team Stefan Walstad, and they are playing one of our visiting teams from North America. It's Team Corey Dropkin from the US. And over on sheet 4, our final quarter-final this evening, we have the other unbeaten team in the competition. That's Team Whyte from Scotland. Don't worry, they didn't start ahead already. That's a 0-0 score as well. Yeah, we're just correcting that there. It's Team Whyte from Scotland, and they are up against the 2nd Norwegian team to qualify for these quarter-finals, Bright Young Things, who have played fearlessly all weekend. Team Hoestmaelingen from Norway. So that's your 8 teams. And ta-da! Here's our exciting new technical fun thing. Not only can we chat to each other in the chat, we can now chat to each other on screen. So if you have a question or you want to share some curling chat with us, then we can feature pieces of the chat up on screen. And every stone in play by the look of it already in this first end. Both teams mean business out there. Team Retornaz, as ever, putting in a very professional performance in the round robin. So Clog Basher, a regular here in the virtual club. And as you've noticed, yeah, Olympic silver medalists out, Olympic gold medalists out. Last year's winners of this competition out, mostly. One of them still left. And that just shows you the quality of teams that we have in this competition. The last, or the final team to qualify rather, for this quarter-final round, it was Team Marco Hoesli over on sheet 1. And guess who they had to get past to secure a place in this final 8? They had to beat Olympic champions, Edin. So hats off to Team Marco Hoesli. And I always say to people, if you're going to watch one session of curling at a competition, I recommend the quarterfinals, because you've typically got 4 excellent games going on all at once. And we certainly do have 4 cracking games out there. Definitely the blue ribboned event of this evening is all of those big names out there. Gosh, how many medals did those 8 men out there have between them? A lot is the answer. Benoit Schwartz, he has an Olympic bronze medal. The Italians, current world bronze medalists. And of course, as I never tire of saying, the big guy, Amos Mazzana, Olympic champion with his teammate Stefania Constantini in mixed doubles. The Italians with an aggressive start. We saw them, I would say, carefully dispatch our Canadian friends earlier on this afternoon. And we're also really grateful to Team Colton Flasch for travelling all the way from Canada to support our competition. Now we see superfan Megan in the chat, who's enjoying our fun little new technical surprise. I can tell you the technical gremlins have been working very, very hard on this. So do use it, send us some comments, send us some questions, and we'll pop it up on the screen and we can have a chat about it together. First throw for Yannick Schwaller. Sorry, second throw for Yannick Schwaller in this first end of a quarter-final. Handy throw, but how does that leave it? So definitely that one Italian counter still causing trouble. And then I think the yellow on the right of our screen there, just in front of Yannick Schwaller. I think that's second shot. So it sounds like Joel thinks Schwaller lying 2 and 3 here, so Italy certainly lying 1. That's the other option. But goodness me, that's an aggressive shout for the first end, rather than just removing some Swiss counters. We have Johan in the chat, cheering for Marco Hefti. He's second thrower for Team Hoesli. Another one of my little favourites, if you're a regular here. Yeah, they've really had to work hard, Team Hoesli, and they have. They had to get past some seriously good opposition and asked nicely if they could have just a little bit extra time to just have a bit of a rest and refuel with some food. So if you're watching on the live stream tonight, if you want to tell us which team you're cheering for, or if you want to ask a question, go right ahead. Who are you cheering for out there? Matilda, a fan in Sweden. She's watching the athletics as well as curling. This is good multitasking, Matilda. I might be doing the same if I wasn't here in person. I love the athletics as well. That's commitment to sport. Good job, Matilda. So Niklas Edin's team, indeed, the only Swedish team representing this time, and having a torrid time of it this weekend. And I think that just shows you how difficult it is to win Olympic medals. None of these teams were intimidated. I think they were all delighted that we had Bruce Mouat's team, the silver medal winners, and the Olympic champions, Niklas Edin. They couldn't wait to have a go at them. And it just shows you, you know, any one of these teams can beat any of the others, and to string it together an Olympic performance like that, to keep on playing at that level day after day for a whole week or longer, that's something a bit special.
Freeze, huh? No bounce, immer noch no bounce. No. Stacca, Mattia, stacca. Squat. Perfect.
Italy still lying short here in this first end. They do have last stone by dint of finishing top of the pile. But it's an uncanny play from the Swiss. Hard for Italy to get a second stone in there just now. As usual, the team with last stone advantage, they don't really want to give up that advantage, give last stone back to the opposition and only get 1 point. Ooh, it's quite early in the game to be having a big committee meeting like this though, lads. So lots of folk in the chat just now. It's always fun to watch together. First throw of this quarter-final game for Joel Retornaz. The decision is to go around the back of both of those, and the angles will not be kind for Benoit Schwartz to try to move it out again, but that's just going to drift on a little bit, and we may just see Switzerland just try to block the Italians in now, force the Italians to just take one. We have Deborah in the chat. Hello, Deborah. Great to see fans from North America tuning in, supporting the teams from US and from Canada. And we have Gretchen with us as well, who was watching earlier on with her kitten. I hope your kitten enjoyed his first game, Gretchen. My cat prefers tennis, typically, but he doesn't mind curling. Now, already in this first end, it's the Swiss trying to decide what to do. Two stones to come, one for Benoit Schwartz, one for Joel Retornaz. Seems like Gretchen's kitten did enjoy watching his first game of curling. Good to know. Let's introduce them young. So, final stone for Benoit Schwartz in this first game. Sorry, the first end of this quarter-final game.
Sven! Sven! Whoa! Whoa! Pablo! Wee! Whoa! Whoa! Sven! Whoa! Whoa!
And brave call from the Swiss, and it's paid off for them. Just that gentle weight had to be very precise from Benoit Schwartz, and for me that's lying 2 yellow at the moment. Mattia wondering if the run back would work, so if you would drive that yellow back, could you spring the pair of them? That might be a bit of a wild decision for this early in the game. I think this is the safer decision in this first end. You don't really want to give up 2 in the first end. And what Joel can see, probably about half of that yellow. We'll probably see a fairly similar shot that we just saw from Benoit Schwartz.
Pronto, giù, Amos, Vai per prendere. Giù per prendere.
And the big guy putting those long arms to use. Has he got enough of the yellow? He has. I think that... what do you think, viewer? Yannick Schwaller claiming one yellow, I think it is. I still think that was the wise choice, though. You don't really want to give up a steal of 2. Giving up a steal of 1, not the end of the world. It's just as if you didn't have last stone in a way in the first end. So after first end of this quarter-final, that was a steal of 1 to Yannick Schwaller, and they lead Joe Retornaz of Italy 1-0.
Perfection means nothing if you cannot feel it. I think a lot about how I feel when I enter a space. Imagine you walk into your kitchen and you feel that this place is truly made for you. Maybe because of the clean lines or the real materials. I believe in authenticity. It is probably the most difficult thing for us, to stay true to who we are. For me, this is perfection.
If you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. Good evening from Baden, here in Switzerland. We're at the Baden Masters 2022. It's the first of the World Curling Tour events here in Europe. What a competition we've already had. We are at the quarter-final stage. We started with 20 teams. The top 8 teams in the competition are playing these quarter-finals. In our featured game here, we are watching one of the only 2 teams unbeaten so far this weekend. That's Joe Retornaz of Italy, with new full-time lead thrower Mattia Giovanella. Simone Gonin, our regular, or our previous full-time lead thrower and vice skip. He's focusing on mixed doubles this season. But Mattia, he's been long-time alternate for this Italian team. He will know them very well, and what a debut he's having. Played 4, won 4. Pretty good. I'm sure he'll fit really quickly into this team. And speaking of new lineups, we are also watching Team Yannick Schwaller, kind of the new Swiss super team. Their new lead, also long-time alternate with Peter de Cruz's previous team, that's Pablo Lachat. And also previously from Peter de Cruz's team, your 2 sweepers, Sven Michael in the black sweater and Benoit Schwartz in the red, and their new skip coming out to help right at the last minute, as all skips do, is Yannick Schwaller. And we have Noah cheering for Schwaller's team. That would be quite special to win this Baden Masters at the first time of asking. But there are a handful of Swiss teams really biting at their heels. Schwaller's team, they will need to get up to speed very quickly if they are not to be overtaken by some of the other Swiss teams. One of whom is on sheet 1 next to him. That's Team Marco Hoesli. Very difficult to get past. I fancy that will be a real close encounter over in sheet 1 there. And this is really good setup play from Schwaller's team here in the second end. It's Italy who still have last stone. And we saw in Italy's earlier game today, they were our featured game earlier on, and we saw quite a lot of good play towards the centre. We were noting that Olympic champion Amos Mozana putting to use all of that experience in mixed doubles, not afraid of playing these delicate shots around the centre, keeping stones in play. But as you can see, he is huge, so if needed, he can really clear a bunch of stones out as well. First throw of the second end for Sebastiano Armand. And Joel deciding doesn't need to be too aggressive here in this second end. So spraying everything there, Sebastiano. Leaving 2 Swiss counters, but look where that shooter's landed. That's over on the left of our screen, and they have a nice card out front there on the right of the screen as well. So I make that a pretty nice result there for Sebastiano.
Yep.
Sven Mikkel, then very accomplished player himself. He's played in every position. He's won Swiss championships at skip. He was playing third with Peter de Cruz, throwing second now. Big hitter, Sven. And just removing that corner guard. That's the danger to Switzerland. They don't want Italy to be able to start stacking a few stones around a corner guard. And we're only in the second end. So Italy just going to keep things clean here. No need to be too aggressive. Sebastiano, also pretty big, but looks more normal sized compared to Amos. And he gets all of them moving, Sebastiano. He gets rid of 2 and leaves himself lying in the front ring, so 2 super stones from him. Really helped Italy in the second end. And looks like everybody's kind of bailing out this end a little bit. I think we'll probably see some cagey stuff here. I'm not sure whether we'll see all-out aggressive or whether we'll see a lot of hitting, because nobody wants to give the other a chance. But that doesn't really win you games anymore. It's the more aggressive style that wins you games now. And that's a mistake from Yannick. Didn't get his angles correct there. And there we go. That second corner guard that Italy had, that's now become dangerous. First throw for Olympic mixed doubles champion. I'm sure he never gets tired of hearing that. He's a very modest chap, Amos. Maybe he gets a bit embarrassed with the fuss. But Olympic champion he is, being asked for a draw in behind this corner guard now. Trying to make sure there's no double takeout available. There's Yannick Schwaller, also a big hitter. Most of the boys out on the ice actually fairly big hitters. And indeed, Benoit and Yannick Schwaller having a look. And looks like the decision is to follow similar path to what we just saw from Amos Mazana. It's very curly, the ice. If you've been watching all weekend, you'll see that there's loads of curl. And I reckon, yeah, there should be enough space behind that corner guard for Schwaller to follow that stone in and just squirt it out the side. Calling Pablo on to sweep, so they obviously want it to curl. Pablo trying to sweep it to catch the curl. And he's got just enough of it. Benoit looking to see if he could get a cute little double. He doesn't, but first things first, good shot there from Yannick Schwaller. Not easy. These boys make this look quite straightforward, but it really isn't. I often say if you're at the club and you're playing anything like as well as the guys out there, you'll probably win most of your games. tactics a bit more straightforward in this second end. We have Matthew in the chat as well. He's cheering for Ross Whyte's team. They're the only Scottish team left in the competition, Ross Whyte. They sent 4 teams from Scotland. And it's only Ross Whyte's team still standing, but gosh, they've had a super run to this quarter-final. They're one of the only 2 teams, themselves and Retornaz, they're one of the only 2 teams on 4 wins out of 4. They'll be feeling pretty confident, I think. So I will make sure I tell Ross that you were cheering for them, Matthew. That you know his brother from where you play curling. That's good to hear. Here in these quarterfinals we have 2 Swiss teams, 2 Norwegian teams, and 1 each from Scotland, Italy, US and Netherlands. So lots of interest for fans all over the world. First throw of the second end for Benoit Schwartz. 4th thrower in Yannick Schwaller's new team. No trouble there. The Italians having a good look at this. We're not at a good angle from this shot to tell. They're really looking at it closely to see who's lying second shot at the moment. No doubt who's first shot at the moment. But that could really change what you want to do here, depending on whether yellow are currently lying 2 or whether yellow's only lying 1.
Se marchiamo uno va comunque bene. Io andrei in sicurezza per farci l'1. Sono lì, sono lì, sono lì.
We'll have another look with the overhead once the stone comes to rest, but certainly that yellow has to leave the house. First throw for Joe Retornaz from Italy. This men's team, the current bronze medal holders from World Championships. And the Olympics next time going to Italy. There we are, viewer. What do you think? I still can't tell if it's red or yellow. Everybody having a look again. Yannick Schwaller pointing at the yellow. And that means that if they would just hit and roll, they're confident that yellow on the front ring, they're confident that second shot. So if they just remove that red and their yellow hangs around somewhere inconvenient, then that should be enough to stop Italy from scoring more than 1 point here. That's what Schwaller's team are interested in.
Tempo di questa? 10,90. Più lenta di quella che ho giocato andare in su. 10,83.
Welcome Fiona, tuning in from Portugal. I'm not sure we know anyone else from Portugal. I've certainly never played anyone from curling in Portugal. I don't think they have a federation yet, but great to see you, Fiona. Last stone for Benoit Schwartz in the second end. I don't think he'll have much trouble removing this red stone. They're just controlling it with the sweeping. They indicated they wanted to roll away and behind, so they don't quite get the roll in behind cover. And now let's see, Italy ignoring that front yellow. So either they've accepted that they're only going to score one here, or maybe they think, maybe we think it's a red stone. Let's measure.
Sì, un po' più, Filo più ghiaccio.
Last stone in the second end for unbeaten Italy.
No.
Gonna be a measure.
Clean.
What do you think, viewer? Are we going to see a measure to check if we're getting 2 points? Everyone looking at it again. Now, don't touch the stones. If you move the stones by mistake, then there's nothing we can do. We can't put them back and measure.
No, che altro potevamo fare? Tu dici il roll. Esatto.
Pretty aggressive. I think it's unusual for juniors, no?
Ma io così io direi che è rosso.
One of the Italians did just say, I think it's a red. And Yannick Schwaller coming back with the measure.
Dovessi scommettere che mi chiedevi prima in
Oh,
euro.
exciting stuff, viewers, already. So sometimes you ask the umpire to come and do a measure if you're at World Championships or something like that, but here in Baden we just do it ourselves. And yeah, you're going to have to fiddle around with the measure. You can see the stones, they're just biting the outside, so you have to move that bit,
Away from the rock.
or there might be another measure that has a movable part, or you have to, or you move that all the way in again so that it goes around the inside of the stone. Don't look, viewers. We're normally more professional than this. There we are, that's better. Now it reaches around the outside of that stone. And curling, a very honourable game. So the Italians quite happy to let Yannick Schwaller set the measure there. And then we'll spin the measure around and let's see. Yellow it is.
Yeah, sure. It's 1 centimeter.
Oh, it must be close. Mattia, just asking Yannick, can you just take a second look at that? It must be really close.
Again?
Yannick Schwaller getting dizzy out there. Two yellow, sorry. Second shot was yellow. And that means that was 1 point to red. So, phew, what an exciting conclusion to that second end there. Definitely worth a measure. Sent Yannick Schwaller round twice with the measure there. But in the end, it is a score of 1 point to red. So after 2 ends here in our featured quarter final, it's Joe Retornaz against Yannick Schwaller. The score is 1 each. And that does give us a good opportunity while we're setting up the third end here in our featured quarter final we will take a look at what's happening on the other games. Over on sheet 1, we have first team into the into the quarterfinals. It's Wouter Goesgens team from Netherlands. They're playing team Marco Hoesli from Switzerland. And after 2 ends, it's Hoesli who is 2-0 up against the Dutch boys. On sheet 3, we have Stefan Walstad from Norway. They are playing team Corey Dropkin from the US. They're still on their second end, but that was a steal of 1 to Dropkin in the first end. That's 1-0 to them. And over on sheet 4, we have also unbeaten team Ross Whyte. Matthew's cheering today. They are playing the second Bright Young Things from Norway, the second Norwegian team here in the quarterfinals. That's team Hoestmaelingen. Hopefully my pronunciation is getting a little bit better. And it's the Bright Young Norwegians who have stolen a point in the second end. The first end was blanked and they lead 1-0. So just because some of the big names are not here in this quarterfinal, number 1, that shows you how tough it is. And number 2, we have some pretty good teams out there. So as you were, after 2 ends, the score is 1 each. Last stone returns to team Schwaller from Switzerland.
Leutners nou. Jetzt ist gut, Linie, aber immer noch Sven. No bounce. Schön, Pablo.
And good to see the aggressive start in these ends from the teams. No cagey stuff, oftentimes what you would see mostly in the old rule, more when you had 4 rock free guard zone. You would see oftentimes team without last stone. You would set off the end with a stone top of the forefoot, and the team with last stone would decide which end to engage in, and you would just exchange hits. But much more aggressive stuff now. That's really what wins you games these days. And we've seen the Italian team doing this all weekend. Not afraid to play towards the centre, set up some angles. They play with a really nice confidence, this Italian team. Really positive attitude, positive play from them. And same with the young Norwegians. If you want to see fancy new team viewers, take a look at the static cam on sheet 4. Stones going in 7 different directions there. Everybody's caught them. Well done. And left 1 Swiss stone right there in the middle, but we can see more than half of that. But yeah, if you want to see a aggressive new team on the scene, take a wee look at the static cam on sheet 4 and have a watch of Hoestmaelingen and practicing their name as well. Goodness me, have they announced themselves this weekend. And look, it's another perfect stone from Sebastiano Arman. We've seen this all weekend from Italy, the best defense being a better offense. Sven Michael going for the run back. Straight back, yellow onto red. Has he got it? No, that just caught a little bit too much curl, didn't it? And that shouldn't be surprising the teams by now. I think that's really where we've been seeing Italy excel this weekend. They've not really made any mistakes with their sweeping calls, with their line calls. The curl not really catching them out. And some of the other teams, that big curl towards the end, not quite believing in it, I think. And Sebastiano now lending his big shoulders to try to catch the curl there, and that stone just kept moving, didn't it? And that's found a very nice spot, just touching that centre line. But Yannick Schwaller will fancy this. And again, if you're playing at the club, very nice shot there. But no stone safe at this level. But I think Benoit Schwartz may be concerned. This is red onto red. It's not the same as yellow onto red. It's not just a straight run back. There, Benoit Schwartz kindly indicating exactly what he's concerned about and wondering, should we be going for the more difficult angle, but then it's yellow onto red instead.
Also der muss schnell Huren brechen, wenn das Loch ist. Ich würde direkt sticken. Also, ich würde schnell, aber... Und da irgendwie auf die Nase gehölzt.
My friend Glenn from Canada, Glenn Newell, he's always in the chat. Nice to see you, Glenn. Thanks for tuning in.
Whoa.
Big hi to the rest of the team, Glenn.
Wow!
And good idea from Benoit Schwartz in the end. Really nice shot from Yannick Schwaller. Gets rid of that dangerous Italian stone. But more than half of that yellow available for Amos Mazzana. He's almost at the hog line by the time he's left the hack. He's so tall. And Sebastiano again sweeping to catch that curl. That stone's sat out a little bit, but I think doing just about enough. They probably wanted that shooter to hang around, but no harm done. Important was to just clear the danger of the Swiss stone.
Is nu niet los. Ik glaube. Vind ik het goed dan dat.
Marcel and Nicole from my club in Wetzikon here in Switzerland. Nice to see you tuning in. Hello to you. Marcel also very experienced at this level.
Pablo! Pablo!
And that stone just going backwards as soon as he released it. I was speaking to one of the other teams, and they said they just a few stones they had trouble. They said it was tracking a bit, so they meant that once he released it, the stone wasn't really catching the curl. It was just kind of drifting in a straight line and going away from the brush rather than catching the curl and going towards the centre. So that just catching Yannick out a little bit, and that gives Joel Retornaz a chance to put big pressure on. Fourth stones in our third end of our featured quarter-final. We're at the Baden Masters in 2022 edition. We had the Olympic silver medalists, we had the Olympic gold medalists, and these teams are so good that neither of them have qualified for quarter-finals. So imagine how good these teams are out there. Playing very well at the beginning of the season already.
So super. Ja, dat kunnen we.
This time, not much choice. There's no yellow onto red available for Benoit Schwartz, so he's going to have to do it the complicated way. He's going to play red onto red, but he has to clear both of the reds as well. Mighty throw from Benoit Schwartz. And difficult stuff, and he doesn't quite clear both reds. And indeed, yeah, he's left that guard out front. So another chance here for Italy to put some pressure on. The Italians, they won't mind if they lose a shot here rather than stealing a point. What's our favourite tactical saying? That's right, a score of -1 in this end is perfectly fine for Italy. So same again please from Joel Retornaz. We do say that's the most difficult shot in curling, is same again. And that stone hanging out a little more by the look of it, but there it's caught that curl at the end. And the twin towers of Arman and Mozana just guiding that to top of the 8 foot. So yeah, really forcing Yannick Schwaller to go in the clockwise handle instead, or rather Yannick Schwaller holding the brush for Benoit Schwartz and challenging Benoit Schwartz. He needs to touch the 4 foot, the blue circle there.
Sai cosa? Mi sentivo un po' più lento, allora ho fatto un po' più così e l'abbiamo tenuta un po' più su.
I can see James Hustler in the chat as well. Hello James, nice to see you. James from English Curling.
T-line.
Qualified umpire.
Linie gut. All you. 4-6. Weapon.
And everybody's signalling good stone already. No mistake from Benoit Schwartz. And again, he makes that look quite easy, and it really isn't if you go and throw a stone and you have to hit the 4 foot with one go. And that's why Benoit Schwartz is so valuable, throwing that 4th stone. Really stable on that 4th throw, but good end from Italy. If you're an Italian fan, looks like we have several Italian fans in the chat, then that was a good end from them. They forced Switzerland to take only 1 point, and last stone will return to Italy in the 4th end. So after 3 ends, the score is 2-1 Schwaller over Retornaz.
Perfection means nothing if you cannot feel it. I think a lot about how I feel when I enter a space. Imagine you walk into your kitchen and you feel that this place is truly made for you. Maybe because of the clean lines or the real materials. I believe in authenticity. It is probably the most difficult thing for us, to stay true to who we are. For me, this is perfection.
Cheers, Sven.
We are in the 4th end of our featured quarter-final match at the Baden Masters 2022. It's Saturday night. We're watching 4 games of great curling. This is the life. In our featured game, we have the mighty Italian team of Joel Retornaz, and they are up against the exciting new Swiss lineup of Yannick Schwaller. And objective number 1 met for Schwaller's new team. This is their first outing together, their first competition together in this new lineup. And as we said, they're going to have to get up speed pretty quickly. There are several additional Swiss teams snapping at their heels. One of them's over on sheet 1, Marco Hoesli's team. And they are 2-1 ahead at the moment. They are playing Walter Goesgens' team from Netherlands. Very solid team from Netherlands. They're a bit of a fixture now in quarterfinals, even semi-final stage. They've won a couple of these events, WCT events. Always difficult to get past. So that's 2-1 to Hoesli at the moment on sheet 1. Over on sheet 3, they're still on their third end, but that is 1 each in the game between Stefan Walstad from Norway and Corey Dropkin from the US. And over on sheet 4, our exciting newcomers from Norway, team Hoestmaelingen. I have to take a big breath before I say that every time. It is 1 each after 3 ends, and they are playing currently unbeaten Whyte. And to tell you, viewers, this is our first time watching the young Hoestmaelingen rink from Norway. They're all still juniors, you know. A couple of them have got 2 years left in juniors. And if folks weren't familiar with them before this weekend, then I tell you, there are 19 teams who know very well about them now. We certainly know all about the two teams in our featured game. Two real giants of the game. Teams Retornaz and, well, I'm being unfair. This is a new lineup for Schwaller, but Schwaller himself, very experienced with his previous team, and of course an equally groaning trophy cabinet for Peter de Cruz's previous lineup.
Over the same line, it must be a bit quicker, the second one. Was a bit of active push maybe, because it was a bit wide too. So you added a bit of line there. But I think the feeling in the leg was perfect.
So Italy are 1 point behind. They have last stone in this fourth end. They've got a nice corner guard up there. And ooh, this one kind of took off as soon as he threw it. Sebastiano Arman. Can the big guy hold it? Of course he can. And Mattia Giovanella trying to roll it far away from that cover. Trying to keep that far out of cover so that the Swiss can't do a hit and roll behind that guard. So let's see. They're very patient, this Italian team as well. They had a bit of a ropey start against Canadian team earlier on today, but really worked their way back. Patiently building, and I'm sure that's what we'll see this evening as well. They have that corner guard. If Switzerland ever make a bit of a mistake, they can bring that into play, or they've still got the blank on the table just now as well.
Merci, Pablo.
A free draw then for Sebastiano Arman. As we said, if they can get even half a shot from Switzerland, and Switzerland rolling out there. But ooh, uncharacteristic mistake there from Sebastiano. That's very strange. That was really short. That's very unlike him. And I was going to say what we might now see is, yeah, this is Yannick Schwaller we're talking about. I don't think he's going to take any chances. He wants to say, okay, no more corner guards for you. I think Benoit Schwartz typically a little more aggressively tactically sorry, a little more aggressive tactically. I think he might quite like to have chased around those guards before them, or yeah, just drop another one all the way on the other side of the house. And speaking of which, aggressive tactics, known aggressive tactician Peter de Cruz, he was the skip of the previous team that Benoit Schwartz was fourth thrower for. And indeed, yes, they have split Deborah. Peter de Cruz not playing at this level this time. I think it really seemed to take everything that man had to get to the Olympics and then to put in the campaign there. Whoa. So Peter de Cruz having a bit of a pause, but golly, this stone not pausing anytime soon. And he doesn't quite get rid of both of them. That red on the right of our screen covering about half a centimetre, I think. But that's all they need, the Italians. I love to see this. They're still going to try to tuck a stone round in behind it.
Clean. Aspetta la linea, aspetta. Aspetta ancora se puoi. Gioca per T-line. Solo Rama.
We have Dee in the chat as well. She's looking forward to the early events in Western Canada. I guess out BC way. Nice to see you, Dee. Italy then not quite managing to get behind that very wide guard. And Yannick Schwaller having a second look at this double. It's even wider than it was last time. We might see Sven Michael having to borrow a little bit of the sheet next door. Indeed, Sven not even bothering, just ready to catch the stones as they go. Nice stuff from Yannick Schwaller. No more guards for Italy then. A bit of target practice though. Always good to have just a nice free throw to throw a T-line weight. Make sure you've still got that weight in your pocket. That's what wins you games, is having that really reliable T-weight.
Good più.
It's very good, man.
Vai, vai. Vai, vai.
Both the sweepers working that one really hard. And actually that's maybe my mistake. Maybe that's exactly what Joe was looking for. And I think whatever Amos threw, Yannick Schwaller was going to take it out again.
Clean. Clean. Yep. Clean.
And no trouble for Benoit Schwartz.
Punto lì. Punto. Sì, sì.
A bit of target practice for Senor Retornaz then. Again, quite happy to have a free draw to the house. Make sure that he's keeping that T-weight ticking over. Make sure he's got that T-weight really stable, really reliable. And the Swiss not having that at the moment. They're playing the big hits. And it's the Italians who are playing a lot of draws, a lot of T-lines. And maybe that will come in handy later in this game. At this level, again, most unlikely that any of the Swiss boys would miss an open hit if you simply asked to remove one stone. Pretty unlikely that any of the guys out in the ice tonight, unlikely any of them would have a complete miss. The Italian boys then quite happy to just keep putting That T-line. Make sure they've got that weight reliable.
Rallento il punto e basta.
Clean. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Back. No.
Hit and stick for Benoit Schwartz. He doesn't want to roll out with that one. And just give Joe Retornaz a free throw.
Perfect.
Because if Benoit Schwartz had hit and rolled out there, there would be nothing in the house, only one stone to come. It's only the fourth end. And we would surely have seen Joe Retornaz just throw the stone straight through the back to maintain last stone advantage. But Switzerland want to make him throw his last stone. It might yet get a mistake out of him, but not this time. Nice clean hit and roll out from Retornaz. That's a blank end in the fourth. And so this very tight quarter-final stays as it was. And after 4 ends, it is still 2-1. Yannick Schwaller leads Joe Retornaz.
Lean. Leanie goed.
It's end 5. We're in the second half of this 8-end game in our featured quarter-final at the Baden Masters 2022. We are watching current world bronze medal holders Joe Retornaz team from Italy against new Swiss superstar lineup Yannick Schwaller from Switzerland. And that's the scores on the doors everywhere, as we would expect. 4 really good games out there. If you're only going to watch one session, make it this one. You will normally see 4 simultaneous, excellent high-quality games. The score 2-1 everywhere, including our game, actually.
Solo velocità, sembra lenta. Dentro. 15,5, dai.
And Fiona, our colleague from Portugal, tells us that the Portugal team has just won bronze at the C division for the Europeans. Thanks for sharing that, Fiona. That's wonderful. Always great to hear a new country taking part. Hopefully soon we'll be able to watch a Portuguese team playing.
Megavit. Curl. Nur Sven. Nur Sven. Seulement Sven. Ja, moet sturen. Je weet niet, was een Syriaans curl of zo.
Italy retain last stone in this 5th end. And Switzerland again with that aggressive setup.
Proviamo all'interno, Un esterno? Esterno ok, qua c'è sempre la doppia centrale lui. Secondo me se riusciamo a prendere un po' all'interno non è male. Piace l'esterno a voi?
Oddio. Tutto bello aperto. Oddio.
Ok, 12.
A 12-second stone Joel calling for. That means the stone will take 12 seconds between the 2 hog lines. That's about hack weight, a little bit faster. Mattia Giovanella having a great start as full-time member of this team.
Senza paura. Quello che c'è.
Another nice shot from him. Really setting up the ends very nicely this weekend.
Ist ziemlich kontrollierbar hier. Es läuft sehr schön da. Wollt schon auf?
Sven Mikkel being asked for a hit and roll.
Whoa. No, no. No. Pablo.
He's got the hit. He's got the roll.
What?
But again, that's over curling. That's caught Yannick a couple of times now this game.
12.
The stone, once it started to curl, it really grabs a big curl towards the end. And yeah, we can see a good half of that stone. Ooh, cast your eyes left, viewer. That is a big 3 on the scoreboard, and it was a steal of 3 for the Dutch boys against Marco Hoesli's team. And that means that Walter Goesgens' Netherlands team, they're currently 4-2 ahead against Hoesli.
Clean, sit. Hard. Oh, Joe. Oh.
See the Italians really very much getting to grips with this curl out there. They're really controlling the direction of the stones. That's just what they asked for. And that was on purpose to roll away from the centre if that looks like a funny idea. The reason they do that is because now it makes it harder. Makes it harder for the Swiss boys to do a hit and roll accurately to the centre there. It's a long way from Yannick Schwaller's brush to safety in behind those guards.
Close. Yep. Whoa. Benoit. Whoa. Whoa. No, no, Benoit. We form.
Pablo Lachat doing his best to sweep it in behind cover. But I think Sebastiano, if he plays pretty much the same shot, should make connection again.
Oh. Clean. No. Clean. Oh. Oh.
Constant communication in both the teams.
Hard. Hard. Oh, Ju ormai, Ju.
And the Italians really mastering this big curl. Two nice stones again from Sebastiano. It is the Italians with the last stone in this 5th end. We play 8 ends here in Basel. If scores are tied after 8 ends, we will play an extra end. We must have a winner. The 4 winners, they will progress to semi-finals, which are 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, European time. The 2 winners of the semi-finals, they will progress to the final, which is at 1:30 European time tomorrow. All the teams playing out there this evening, even if they don't qualify for semi-final, They'll be a wee bit disappointed, but their disappointment will be balanced by some nice prize money of 1,500 Swiss francs for everyone who qualifies for quarter-finals. So a good chunk of change there. That could definitely for your tournament expenses for the next tournament. Same idea from the Swiss here. Just that gentle wee bit. Yes, Ben Schwartz is indicating they haven't quite got the curl the Italians found. And that Italian shot is going to hang around after all. 2 red Italian stones hanging around, in fact.
Qua finiamo sotto T. Possiamo anche giocare qua. Se lui va dentro però non abbiamo tanto. Piena. Lui gioca questo. Sì. Se veniamo qua qual è il problema?
Johan's in the chat, and it's a good question, Johan. Apparently one of the Stocker army there. Who is the most popular man in the playoffs? Now that the big guy's out, Yves Stocker. Stocker army disappointed this time. Well, who do you think's most popular man in the playoffs now, viewers? Let us know.
Sì, sono d'accordo, però non so se già adesso. Cioè, secondo me, comunque, allora, meglio. No, ben capito. Se noi facciamo un po' di roll esterno, lui gioca dentro. No, boh, se gioca qua a quel punto entriamo e proviamo i due lì. Non so, mi chiedevo se valeva la pena entrare adesso noi. È vero che ti viene a freeze e questo non le conti più.
Oddio, perché se non gioca qua, non gioca a freeze, gioca a venire, ritarò dopo.
Well, whatever happens in these 4 quarterfinals, we shall have a new team as champions this year. As we said, some folks out in the ice, they have won this competition before, but in different lineups.
Oddio, se sei qua ancora non è male. Se vogliamo anche questo,
3 out of 4 of Schwaller's team have won before. Schwaller himself, in his previous team, they won it last year. And Ben Schwartz and Sven Michael, they've won it a handful of times each. Everyone else out on the ice, they're looking for their first time grabbing that trophy. Decision's been made then. The Italians were discussing, did they want to play something similar, that controlled hit and roll, or straight draw on the clockwise handle, and sounds like they're going for that 12-second stone again. They've played this line a couple times, they should know it pretty well.
Clean. Linea. Oh.
And that's fine again, rolling away from the centre means it's harder for the Swiss to accurately get all the way from the outside of the rings, hide in behind cover. We have 2 Swiss teams out there, 2 Norwegian teams, 1 each from Scotland, Italy, US and Netherlands. And I can tell you that we've never had a team from Netherlands win this competition, or a team from US or Italy or Scotland, I don't think. I would need to look back, but certainly not for a while.
Close. Pablo.
quick look, and Joel concludes that that yellow is still lying short at the moment. The Italians would love to win this competition. They've been in the final, they've been in the semi-finals, always so consistent, and just their names on the trophy missing. Now what do you do? Italy has last stone. Only 4 stones to come, and there are 3 Italian stones lying around. They're all at least touching the 12 foot. So plenty of space for Switzerland, but if you try to outdraw these stones, and Benoit Schwartz can easily outdraw these stones, the problem is, if Italy find a way to get to that stone, you are going to lose a basket full of points here.
Das ist nicht so einfach im Fall. Das musst, also wenn du Nose, auf Nose kann er nichts machen.
No obvious double takeout really either.
Ja, wir können einen Roll. So nachher schauen. Ja.
The hit and roll still there, but as we said, quite a long way from the edge of the sheet over there to accurately find a place in the middle where Yannick's indicating. The risk with the draw, as we said, aggressive stones always higher risk, higher reward. If you get it spot on, you will give the Italians trouble. That's the reward. But if you mess it up, you are risking a hatful.
Ich glaube, so ist. Wir haben aber so viel auf Center. Dann ist das nicht schlecht, denke ich. Würdest weniger?
But this is the kind of stuff that Peter de Cruz's team used to play all the time.
Hinten 4 da.
Gosh, sometimes Peter de Cruz, he would play just eye-poppingly aggressive stuff, and they got away with it because they have Benoit Schwartz throwing last stones.
Linie gut! Nur Länge! Sven! Sven musst durch! Sven musst durch! Sven musst durch! Hard! Alle weg! Go, go,
So
go!
they've taken the risk,
go!
the Swiss. Benoit Schwartz, cool as you like. Puts it right in front of T.
Se ticchiamo la guardia. 13, se ticchiamo la guardia entriamo.
We have had 2 Swiss winners of this competition. Sorry, no, we have 2 Swiss teams out on the ice. And we've had several Swiss winners of this competition. As we said, 3 out of 4 of Yannick Schwaller's team, they've won this competition before. This would be a first for Marco Hoesli's team. And we have 2 Norwegian teams out there, Team Walstad and Team Hoestmaelingen. That would be a first for both of them. But you know which Norwegian team's name is all over that trophy. You're right, viewer. It's the legendary Team Olsrud. And our Norwegian friends really channeling their inner Thomas Olsrud. I'm sure you're all aware we were all terribly shocked and saddened at the beginning of summer to lose our beloved brother in curling, Thomas. And great to see the Norwegian teams. I'm sure the young team out there would watch Thomas Olsrud's games as they were learning curling, and great to see them playing in his spirit. Such a fine ambassador for our sport, Thomas Ulsrud and his famous team. Fine ambassador for curling, fine ambassadors for Norwegian sport. Of course, everyone remembers them for their fancy pants in Vancouver. And the fancy pants made such an impact that there is a pair of the original fancy pants here in Lausanne in the Olympic Museum in Switzerland. So that's how important Thomas Ulsrud and his team have been to our sport. So we're still really shocked to have lost him. But we're delighted to have our Norwegian friends back in our competition this year.
No, no. Linie is perfect. Linie is perfect. Piste dolly.
Prendiamo,
Super, Ben.
Just to prove it wasn't a fluke the first time, Benoit Schwartz draws against all those Italian stones again. And see, like I said, relentlessly aggressive stuff from Schwaller's team, or from Benoit Schwartz. And it takes good courage to draw against all of those Italian stones and then not leave the Italians with really much of a chance to score. Yeah, I think there's only chance for one here. I think that yellow on the right of our screen, on the right side of the sheet, I think that's counting second shot. So good work from the Italians, but neutralised by that man in the red pullover.
Linea. 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 Oh! Oh!
Has it got enough beans to just push that yellow? Ooh. It does push it. Does it push it enough? We've had a lot of pretty tight stones out there this evening already. Are we going to have a little tiny measure now, rather than the stones right on... Yep, we are. Rather than having stones right on the edge, we've got them all snuggled in around the pin. So Yannick Schwaller will be dispatched off to get the measure again. Oh, I'm really not sure.
Sì. Quelli che potevano permettere veramente di ticcare.
While we're waiting for Yannick to come back with the measure. Oh, it's Pablo Lachat coming back this time. And Megan asking if De Cruz is having a bit of a pause or if he got left without a team. That is the danger, Megan, actually, you're right. Sometimes in this revolving door, after the previous Olympic cycle is over, there's kind of a mad rush to find your new team, a new team or a new lineup. But I think, yeah, Peter De Cruz, it seemed to take an awful lot out of him to get the Swiss nomination for the Olympic place for a second time. That was their second go at the Olympics, De Cruz's team. And just, it was a very intense situation in Beijing. Oh. One yellow it is, so good effort from Joel, but did not quite bump it back far enough. And that's going to be a steal of one to Schwaller. I think they're busy putting the measure away, so we will see it's a steal of one yellow. That means it is now Schwaller 3 points to 1 ahead of Joel Retornaz of Italy. stage. We started with 20 teams. We are down to 8. Soon we will be down to 4. After Italy working awfully hard in that 5th end, Benoit Schwartz just swooped in and put a couple right in front of the pin, and that was enough. Joe Retornaz couldn't quite bump it back far enough. And it was a steal of 1 point. You can just see that on the scoreboard. So Schwaller is leading 3-1 with 3 ends to play, including this one.
Okay.
And let's see what else is going on. Philip in the chat, he is interested in Corey Dropkin's game. And a bit of work to do yet, Philip. They're on their 5th end, but after 4 ends it is 4-1 to Walstad from Norway over Dropkin from the US. Walter Goesgens' team from Netherlands. Gosh, their lovely bright orange uniforms seem to be a bit of a talisman for them this weekend. They are now 5-2 ahead over Marco Hoesli's Swiss team. They're in their 6th end as well. And over here on sheet 4, they are in their 7th end. And if you're looking at the score online, it might look like a code in binary. A lot of 1s, a lot of 0s. One of my club mates would say that's a typical Lorna game, just full of 1s and 0s. I'm an incredibly boring tactician. Really tight stuff though. In the 7th end, it is 2 points to 1 to the young Norwegian team. Hoestmaelingen over Whyte of Scotland. Whyte, the only other unbeaten team in the competition so far. Whyte and Joe Retornaz. They are the only teams on 4 wins out of 4. But the young Norwegians have shown us all weekend that they're not scared of any team out there. Now, if we know anything about this Italian team, is that they won't panic. They were down a couple points this afternoon and just steadily worked their way back. Quite some firepower in this Swiss team. But Italy really good with those delicate shots, just controlling that front of house. They'll need to do that for the rest of this game. We're having a bit of a vox pop in the absence of Yves Stocker, the most popular man in curling, who's the most popular man in the quarterfinals, and I agree with Clock there. I think Benoit, he's a bit of a special one, isn't he? Everybody loves watching him, and I should think so too. Did you see those 2 stones he just played in that 5th end?
Okay. See. Okay. 11. Sì.
Couple of options for Italy. They could either play towards the centre or try to clear a bit of a space first.
Hard. Oh, sit. Hard. Joe, Mattia, Joe.
Oh, really close to moving everything there, Sebastiano.
Okay.
But now he's got a red out front that he could use to run back the next stone. That's exactly what Yannick Schwaller is just pointing out to say, do we need to do something about that? That feels almost ridiculously defensive to remove that red guard. But that just shows you that Yannick Schwaller does not typically take risks in that way, I must say. So it'll be really interesting to see how this new lineup gets on. As I said, Ben Marchfort's very comfortable taking huge risks, because typically he can just draw to the pin if needed. Whereas Schwaller maybe a little more conservative. Konstantin, also a Ben Marchfort's fan. Another vote for him. Sven Michael then being asked for a guard. I think this is the right call. They're +2, the Swiss. We're already in end 6. Even if Italy would manage to pick up 1 point, getting through this big mess of guards somehow, that doesn't bother the Swiss. They would then have last stone back in the 7th end. So this is the right call. And it's even just drifted into front ring. I'm not sure it's really changed the run back there. I think the red stone can still cleanly get back. It looks like Joel thinks so too.
Okay.
3/4. Hide.
Sebastiano Armand being asked for the run back here. Red onto yellow. Yes, no sweeping. Sounds promising. Perfectly judged by Joel. And a lovely shot from Sebastiano Armand. Great team shot there. Really nice stuff. Big weight from Yannick Schwaller, looking to remove both of these reds now. Does open up that anti-clockwise handle. But Italy's risky shot, or tempting Switzerland into a risky shot, has paid off for the time being. Chance for Italy to put a second counter in. Italy would love to put 2 on the board right here. Italy really don't want to have to give last stone back to Schwaller if they're only putting 1 on the score. Oh yeah, this is going to need a big sweep, lads. Oh, I think it just, yep, just caught that front yellow there by a couple of molecules by the sound of it. Looked like that throw maybe had a little bit less handle than normal. That's maybe why it curled a little bit more. I was talking to James Craik's team a little bit earlier, and they were saying they were really getting good experience here of just the different ways that the European teams throw. So they're from Scotland. And they learn a slightly different release than the European teams, and he said, yeah, it can make quite a big difference actually, just with the ice that you take and how the stone grabs the curl on the ice. So another big throw from Schwaller. Oh my goodness. He's got the front guard as well. Well, goodness me, the curling gods are certainly smiling on one of the teams at the moment, aren't they?
Stesso tiro. O chiudiamo. Sì, o giochiamo a guardia lì. Se no è questo.
You have last stone, Italy. Yeah, be careful putting up guards here.
Sì, cioè, da 3/4, secondo me. Cioè, perché non possiamo rollare troppo, perché se questa la porti sotto,
Let's make a good decision here, guys.
No, beh, ma se tu sei
It is typically around end 6 that the game kind of grinds to a halt.
No, no, infatti l'altra cosa è la guardia.
Perché il problema è che se i shooter restano più comodi, lasciare un interroll o
no, lo so. No, lì non c'è il punto in, eh? Esatto, Anche.
Constantine in the chat noting that, yeah,
Bisogna
this
la
is the
velocità.
first event.
Pensiamo se giochiamo la guardia, cosa fa lui?
WCT. You can check all the events in worldcurlingtour.org online. But you're quite right, Constantine.
Okay.
I certainly know the Swiss guys, they've been practicing here at Baden. They keep ice all summer. And yeah, these guys at the top level performing right from the first second indeed. It can throw up some surprises sometimes, Baden, for that reason. It just depends perhaps how much ice time your team's had or how much training together you've been able to do over summer. But typically, yeah, I think the best team still wins in the end.
Solo backline.
Wow.
Backline.
Oh.
Backline, Stampa.
Oh.
Stampa. Stampa.
Clean. Se. Oh. Giù. Forte, Rama.
Italy then going for the split, I think. They want to get some separation on these reds.
Ok. Era giocata bella attiva anche. Questa è buona velocità per sto tiro. Solo velocità, mancava, sì. No, così terra mi ha più chiamata, era bene tiro così.
No trouble for big old Amos to get a third stone in. Important was they want to try and get separation on those reds. They know the firepower of Schwaller's team. And a triple takeout. Maybe not a typical shout for we at the club, but at this level you will hear people saying apparently ridiculous things like, well, then I'd leave him a triple takeout. And they're serious, because a triple takeout is completely makeable for these guys. Ignoring that red in the front ring then, that could still be handy for Italy later to promote. Definitely a double takeout here, I think, but I'm not sure if the shooter will hang around. First throw for Benoit Schwartz in the sixth end. They're at +2, wanting to get rid of some of these Italian counters. Ooh, he stuffed it.
Sorry, buddy.
By his own high standards, Benoit will be annoyed about that.
O possiamo spingere quella anche volendo.
This end playing out beautifully for Italy at the moment. Very much like what we saw this afternoon. They had a bit of a wobbly start, Italy. They had a bit of a missed throw early on. It cost them a big 3, but then they just patiently worked their way back. Okay, putting stones in there.
Sì, sì, infatti. L'alternativa era diretto qua, però di scavallare.
Same conversation again. We can see Italy line 2.
Lo so.
And the question is,
Però
how do we either protect those two from Benoit Schwartz's final stone, or if we're going to put a third one in, where do we put it to again? Try to protect it from mighty Benoit Schwartz's throwing arm.
Sì.
Sì, no, per forza. Dai, vai il posto già. Sì, però...
Non girano aggressi lì, Ok.
The Twin Towers of Italy, ready to sweep.
Si va in 3, ok. Non so se è troppo ghiaccio forse. No, dai. Sì.
I think the call is to just bump the first red in the front ring, bump that one a little bit further in and away. Immediately calling ahead the sweepers to tell Mattia what kind of weight to expect. Bumping it back, just like that. Really nicely done. You heard the guys communicating all the way up there. Yeah, weight's good. Yeah, line's good. And still just confirming all the way. Weight's still good. Yep, line's still good. A little sweep towards the end. Nicely done. And I imagine we shall see Benoit Schwartz wind up his throwing arm and load an extra set.
O che spizzi, ti apri luce al roll. Così deve fare una tripla comunque.
I imagine the call is get rid of as many as possible, please.
Fai 3 comunque.
Oh, that went well. Goodness me. What a phenomenon that man is. He allows himself a little half a smile, stepping off the ice there. Yes, let's have a look at that again, please. 1, 2, 3. Almost knocking over Yannick Schwaller. He wouldn't mind.
3-9.
And that really, gang, that is so dispiriting for Italy. What an end they put together. They did get a couple of half shots, a couple of misses from Switzerland. And then that man Benoit Schwartz just ruins your plans again.
Okay.
So Switzerland having no choice but to draw for one here. And that does feel terribly unfair, given how beautifully they played the first 7 stones. But yeah, poor old Amos Mazzana kicking that red point away in frustration. So 8 out of 8 shots there for Italy. Not good enough to get more than 1 point. And you have to feel for the Italian boys, not putting a lot wrong here.
Perfection means nothing if you cannot feel it. I think a lot about how I feel when I enter a space. Imagine you walk into your kitchen and you feel that this place is truly made for you. Maybe because of the clean lines or the real materials. I believe in authenticity. It is probably the most difficult thing for us, to stay true to who we are. For me, this is perfection.
Well, I think we're all still recovering from that sixth end.
Linea un po', sì.
Joe Retornaz
Linea buona.
making no mistake with this final draw for one.
Oh, gira tanto,
Of
gira
course,
tanto.
Italy were looking on for a hatful
No, no, va giù
until
solo passare,
Benny
solo
Schwartz
passare.
just hit them all out. Superb triple take out from Benoit Schwartz. And now we will see in the 7th and the 8th end, we will see the Italians go all out aggressive. They are one shot behind. They don't have last stone in the 7th end. It looked like the curling gods were smiling on them, but, well, it looks like they're a little bit up against the curling god today, doesn't it? Lovely start from Pablo Lachat, long-time alternate for Peter de Cruz's rink. I'm sure he will also fit in really well with this new lineup. If you're Italy, you need to not let that get into your head. It's so dispiriting, really. You just spend ages setting up an end. You think you've got your stones pretty safe, at least one of them. It's very dispiriting, so what Italy have to do, much easier said than done. They do have to put it behind them. They do have to keep playing those nice shots. Benoit Schwartz has to miss eventually. And well done, Mattia Giovanella. That's exactly what they need. Don't get frustrated, Italy. Just keep playing as you've been playing. I wouldn't put it past Benoit Schwartz to make a triple in the 7th and a triple in the 8th end if he has to, but you would have to think he has to miss at some point. But meanwhile, Schwaller with last stone. Even if they pick up 1 point in the 7th end for the Swiss, that would be okay. Then they would be +2 going into the 8th end, although they would give up last stone. From Swiss perspective, though, even if Italy would pick up a stone here, pick up a shot here rather, that would make the score 3 each, and then it would be the Swiss who have last stone in the 8th end. That result also not a disaster for the Swiss. So really advantage Switzerland at the moment.
Giù, Mattia. Giù. Giù. Oh.
No.
Sebastiano Stone just coming up a little bit short, but it's no use long. May as well have an extra guard out front. Sven Mikhail being asked to remove that guard. And stood up pretty quickly afterwards. I think he was pretty happy with that as soon as he let it go. Let's see how everyone else is getting on. Again, if you look to the left of your screen, viewer, the Dutch boys really turning the screws over there. They're in their 7th end, and it is Goesgens' team, the Netherlands. They are 6-2 ahead of Marco Hoesli. Here in their 7th end. Sheets 3 and 4. Well, sheet 3, Walstad against Dropkin. They're in their 6th end, and it is 4-3 to Norway just now. Stefan Walstad, the Olympic team representing Norway in Beijing this year. And over on sheet 8, these boys playing like they've got a train to catch. They're on their 8th end already. Very, very tight affair. Going into the 8th end, it is 3-2 to Whyte from Scotland over Hoestmaelingen rink from Norway, but it is the young Norwegians who have last throw in this 8th end, last stone rather. Scotland looking pretty nice, but these Norwegians absolutely fearless. And actually, Scotland not looking quite so nice anymore. But plenty of guards out front for Scotland there. Meanwhile, in our featured game, we have Retornaz of Italy playing red. Schwaller from Switzerland playing yellow. It's Schwaller who has last stone here. And as we said, even a score of 1 here would give them a cushion of 2 points going into the last end. They'd probably rather not do that though. Pietro says Forza Italia. Yeah, they need your support, Pietro. Stay in the chat. Show your support for your team. BB asks if Schwaller abandoned his previous team. That's maybe not quite the word, BB. I think Peter de Cruz's team had decided they had gone as far as they could with that lineup. And they were anyway at the end of their journey. And then I think, yeah, Ben Marschwartz and Sven Michael and Pablo were happy to keep playing, and I think they were looking around for another player. Asked Schwaller, and that's how that happened. Ooh, I see. So what happened there was that stone was travelling at quite a pace, and it happens sometimes. Pablo Lachat couldn't quite get his feet out of the way in time, and Joel putting the stone where he feels the stone would have landed.
Ancora un po'. Buon tiro.
Great support from Pietro in the chat. We love to see that, Pietro. Big support for the Italian team there. And Pablo making sure his feet are well out of the way this time.
Sì? Sì, non era male, tanto è perché l'abbiamo dovuta tirar giù. Sì.
A couple of folks in the chat wondering about the team language for the Swiss team. Maybe sounds like a slightly strange question, but indeed here in Switzerland we have 4 official languages actually. We have Swiss German. That is the native language of Schwaller and Sven Michael. We have French. That is the native language of Ben Marschwartz and Pablo Lachat. We also have Italian, although I don't think I've come across any Italian-speaking Swiss teams. And finally, the fourth official language in Switzerland is Romansch. And that's really only spoken by, well, there's a couple of valleys in the Graubünden where people speak Romansch. So I have heard Bernard Schwartz conversing perfectly well in German. I don't know how strong Yannick Schwaller is in French.
Una credo, Dopo ce l'apre ancora con l'ultima a bocciare.
Playing a bit of cat and mouse out there. Italy continuing to put up the guards, hoping they might get a half shot from the Swiss. Maybe finding a wrong angle, punching a stone back into the house, and maybe rearranging things there, mixing it up. Good news for Swiss fans and Marco Hoesli team fans in particular. If you look on the left, viewers, you will see that Marco Hoesli's team had a nicely crafted 2 to keep themselves in this game over on sheet 1. It's now 6-4 to Goesgens from Netherlands. It was Goesgens' team who were first to qualify for these quarterfinals with 3 wins out of 4. This year the magic number was indeed 3. Last year we had a big pile of teams all with 2 wins and 2 losses, and it was a couple of teams who were top of the draw shot challenge that qualified. But this year 2 wins was not enough, even with an excellent draw shot challenge. Just missing out in 9th place, it was Team James Craik from Scotland. They were on 2 wins and 2 losses. Had a real good campaign out there. They were top of the pile of all 20 teams with the draw shot challenge. And it really went to the wire. It went to the last stone of Marco Hoesli in the last draw of the round robin. That's how close it is. But first time for James Craik's team here in Baden. And a record of 2 wins and 2 losses. Pretty good stuff. They're finishing ahead of Olympic silver medalist Bruce Mouat. They're finishing ahead of Olympic gold medalists Team Edin. So they should be pretty proud of themselves, I think. And a rocket coming from Bernard Schwartz. At some point, Italy really going to have to bring this game into the house. It's not a disaster if Italy lose 1 here, then they would be minus 2 points, but they would have hammer.
No, beh, chiaro, aver contatto, ma dico piuttosto che troppo alta e far jam.
Questa la deve andare comunque.
Sì, ma la va. Facciamo piena 3/4 interna, con 8 secondi va. Però dico mai alta, piuttosto interna, che il pacchetto lì c'è difficilmente qualcosa, fai 2. 3/4. Ok, 8 secondi.
Michael in the chat.
Filo più.
Looks like he's an Italian fan as well. Needing all your support. Still advantage Switzerland really in this 7th end. It's the Swiss who have last stone, and then we will play an 8th end. If scores are tied after 8 ends, we will play an extra end, and a little bit less time pressure on that this evening because there isn't another game on after that. But obviously if you get involved in an extra end this evening, that's a little bit less sleep you might be getting, maybe a little bit more energy using for tomorrow morning. We have semi-finals. The 4 winners here will progress to semi-finals tomorrow morning. That's at 9 o'clock European. The final here in Baden tomorrow is 1:30 European.
Sì, al limite ne lascia uno.
And the 4 teams who don't make it to the quarter-final, they will still have a good performance this weekend, and they will still win prize money of 1,500 Swiss francs for making quarter-finals. That can cover a lot of expenses for your next competition. Well worth qualifying for quarter-finals here.
Come era prima la guardia, ma anche già così non è che tanti, sì, così al pick out e basta.
Constantine asks
Vabbè, ma il punto lo dobbiamo
about Team Flash from Canada. Indeed, they finished with a score, or rather a record of 1 win, 3 losses. And again, 4 good games. There's no dummy teams here, I tell you. We've had no blowouts, I don't think. There haven't been any games that finished 14-2 or something crazy. Been almost all really close games, but yeah, Team Flash, 1 win, 3 losses, 4 close games. Very grateful we are to our North American teams for travelling all this way to support our competition. And I'm very happy for Team Flash that they've invested in themselves to come here. I hope that that pays off for them when they go back to Canada. Just that little bit extra experience. The Canadian teams don't travel very much anymore, and I think it's costing them. I think they only really play in Canada. They only play mostly against the other Canadian teams, and I think that's reflected now at the world level and Olympics level. So good for you, teams Flash and Dropkin, for coming all the way to Europe. So decisions made now. Every stone absolutely critical from here. We're in the 7th end out of 8 in our featured quarter final.
Okay. 9. 9. 9. 9. 9. 9.
I'm not sure exactly where they wanted that stone. But certainly it's protecting their own red just now. You would have to attack that pile of stones in the centre on the clockwise handle, and then I think the red jams onto the back yellow. Now the Swiss will be discussing what do they want out of this end. Nobody minds giving up a 1 here, actually. If the Swiss would give up a 1 to Italy, then it will be scores level, but Swiss will have last stone. You see the Canadian teams doing all kinds of incredible things to make sure they have last stone in the last end. Taking out their own stones, promoting opposition stones, all kinds of stuff. But I think a team of this calibre, if they were +2 points, so if the Swiss would score 1 point here, at least, they would have a cushion of at least 2 points going into the last end, and a team of this calibre needing to lose fewer than 3 points, they ought to be able to control that. Over on sheet 4, they are already in an extra end. They have just about lapped the game on sheet 3. That's an extra end between unbeaten Whyte's team from Scotland, making very nice progress through this competition, and the fearless young Norwegian team. And it is Whyte's team who will have the final stone in this extra end. Bunch of stuff out front. if you were
Solite lì, stesso lato.
not following on the static cam. But indeed, the Swiss accepting 1 point there. They are now +2, so going into the 8th end of our featured quarter-final, the score is 4 points to 2. Yannick Schwaller leading Joe Retornaz.
Perfection means nothing if you cannot feel it. I think a lot about how I feel when I enter a space. Imagine you walk into your kitchen and you feel that this place is truly made for you. Maybe because of the clean lines or the real materials. I believe in authenticity. It is probably the most difficult thing for us, to stay true to who we are. For me, this is perfection.
Are we in the final end of our featured quarter-final at Baden Masters? We're watching the new lineup of Yannick Schwaller playing. It is actually a new lineup with Joe Retornaz of Italy. They have their long-time alternate player, Mattia Giovanella, now playing full-time at lead. But certainly a little bit more established, the Italian lineup, but they are needing 2 points here to force this to an extra end. They do have last stone.
Linea buona. Linea buona. Giù. Ok, continua allora. Ok, andiamo dall'altra.
Corner guard. Traditional start when you need 2 points. Pablo Lachat, he will be doing exactly the reverse. This was playing towards the centre. Nice stone from Pablo with his first throw. This one not curling quite so much though. I don't think that's the line they were quite aiming for. But still grabbing quite a big curl at the end. Now it's time to hold your nerve, Italian fans. Mattia Giovanella being asked for a second corner guard. The most aggressive start.
Bisogno di linea. Linea ancora buona, tienila.
But that Italian middle order, goodness me, they have some firepower there.
Okay.
2 beautiful shots from Mattia Giovanella. What a start he's having at full time in this team. And you know that Yannick Schwaller is going to play something else towards the centre. And you have to hold your nerve and trust that land of the giants, playing 2 and 3 for Italy. You have to trust that they can clear out that centre and bring those corner guards into play. Only 3 people out on the ice have won this trophy before. They are Yannick Schwaller, Benoit Schwartz and Sven Michael. And I wonder if that's helping them just now. They know how to win on this ice. In fact, I'm trying to count up how many times we have one of those names on the trophy. I think it's about 10. Nice throw from Sven Michael. All those stones towards the centre, frustrating Italy.
Giochiamo roll lungo.
Big throw for Sebastiano Arman coming up. He can really do Italy a big favour here. Yes, no sweeping, sounds promising. Remove the yellow, nice long roll. That's what he asked for. And that's what he's got. Good stuff from Sebastiano. No trouble for Sven Michael though. But now more of an opportunity for Italy to be a little bit less responsive, a little bit more proactive.
Mi piace. Sì, 3-9. L'ha un po' inciudato adesso.
So let's see how fast the ice is running. It's been about 14.5 seconds hog to hog for T-line.
È buona.
6. 5.
Sì.
5.
È buona.
5.
Let's see if we can help the team by
molto buona.
assessing how fast the stone's travelling. So 14.7. What do you think about
giù.
front ring?
Giù.
Front 8?
Giù. Ok, bel tiro. Oops, sorry.
Nice again from Sebastiano. And this is all that Italy can do. They just keep needing to play those draws nice and precise. Be patient. Try not to get frustrated. Of course, the Olympics, Winter Olympics next time, they're coming to Italy in Milano Cortina. And I hope we shall see this really strong foursome representing Italy there. A long way to go before that. We've only just finished a previous Olympic cycle. Ooh, and maybe that is the half shot that Italy need.
Vedere la sua centrale, Longhi.
Quella è un po' larga, andar lì.
Mi sa di sì.
This team already veterans. They've
Quasi che dobbiamo
represented
giocare
Italy
tipo qua dietro, secondo me.
at 2 Olympics.
Sì, giochi
Girls
lì.
represented 3 times, in
Sì,
fact.
lui ti fa questo.
È che non la sa Slash, giocando di tre.
Certo che c'è lo slash.
He represented when the Olympics was in Italy in
Dobbiamo provare
2006.
qua,
And rightly became quite a celebrity in Italy
Restiamo
then.
sotto doppia. Se facciamo un roll, c'è una doppia.
Draw.
Stiamo qua.
3-9. 3-9, sì.
No discussion as to what we need to do here. Just careful discussion about where to land this stone. We need that yellow to disappear, and we need this red to hang around.
Aspetta.
Not making the yellow disappear just now. Want to make sure we bury another red in behind that corner guard. Oh, that's frustrating. That's one of those really painful shots if you're the sweeper, because the stone's curling so much that it's curling away from the house. The more you sweep it, it's curling past the house. There you can see it's front ring weight, we would call that, if you were going towards the centre, but not quite making the house there. And I wonder if that could be a turning point here for Italy. Yeah, you definitely want to get rid of that red, Switzerland. The question is simply, where do you want your shooter to go? They're being very cautious because any stone left lying around is a stone that Italy can use potentially. We have a result already, viewers. Look to the left of your screen. And the first team into the quarterfinals, they're the first team into the semi-finals. What a weekend for Walter Goesgens and the Netherlands boys. Still a few stones to go though in our featured game until we can see who's going to join them.
Sì. Ci stai guardando sì dopo. Sì, sì. Di line.
Anche 7, 8, sì. Linea! Linea!
Big sweep for the boys here.
Tira, Mattia!
Mattia putting his whole body behind that brush, but yeah, that stone didn't have the weight though. Okay. That's why it was catching too much line. And chances running out a bit for Italy here. Ooh, and all the other games have finished simultaneously. I will update you as soon as I can see what's happened. Meanwhile, while Switzerland are having a bit of a think about this, we can say thank you again to our sponsors. As we said, all the teams qualifying this evening, they will win prize money of 1,500 Swiss francs, which goes a long way for your competition expenses. So there'll be disappointment initially, but a great job by all the teams getting this far in the competition. I think this is a good call from the Swiss. The only stones that can hurt them are these guards out front. I think this is their best chance of making sure that Italy cannot get two from here. Schwartz throwing another pile driver at that and removing all the guards.
Di nuovo call out. Una giocata tu.
And what do you do now if you have to get 2 points with these 2 last stones from Joel Retornaz? What's your best chance?
Da nasconderla un po', cioè, anche se siamo secondi fa lo stesso. Secondi bisogna essere però.
Sì.
Clock wondering if Amos didn't have enough lasagna for dinner. Maybe so, yeah. That might be the problem. And BB delighted for the young Norwegian team who continue their delightful form this weekend. They have now just dumped out previously unbeaten Whyte from Scotland. And we shall have both Norwegian teams in the semi-final. Team Walstad overcoming Team Corey Dropkin in 7 ends as well. Great stuff from the Norwegians. And lovely stuff from Senor Retornaz. Appreciative clap here in the club room. Not much more he can do to try to give himself a chance. He needs a miss from Benny Schwartz. I feel like I've been saying for about an hour or something that Benny Schwartz has to miss sometime. But it might not be this game, viewers. We have 3 teams already in the quarterfinals. Are we about to have a 4th in the semi-finals, pardon me? 3 out of 4 places filled. 1 more place in the semi-finals available. Semi-finals at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, European. And what does Benoit Schwartz have to say about that? Not his most stable delivery, but didn't need to be. That's 1 red removed. Italy are out of stones. And it's a big win for the new team Schwaller. Tough outing for Team Italy, but great win for this new lineup. We now have 4 semi-finalists. We have Goesgens from the Netherlands. We have Yannick Schwaller from Switzerland. We have Stefan Walstad from Norway. And we have Team Hoestmaelingen from Norway. So Team Schwaller continue their excellent start. Tough loss for the Italians there. That was a super game. Worthy of a semi-final or a final as well. But thank you for joining us for this really exciting game that we had here. It's finally a win for Team Schwaller. We have 4 teams ready to go to the semi-finals. They are at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, European. Set your alarm if you're in Europe. Come join us again. Thank you very much for joining us on your Saturday evening. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Aargau Topsport und TLM1 präsentieren die 22. Ausgabe vom Baden Masters vom 19. bis am 21. August. Zum Saisonauftakt der Spitzengurler messen sich die besten Schweizer Gurler mit den amtierenden Olympiasieger und Weltmeister aus Schweden sowie mit den absoluten Top-Teams aus Kanada und den USA. Nervenkitzel, der Kampf um jeden Millimeter, grosse Emotionen. Curling Weltklasse direkt vor der Haustür und am Freitag, 19. August auf TLM1. Das Baden Masters wird präsentiert von Swisslos Sport von Aargau, V-Zug, einem Schweizer Haushaltsgerätehersteller und der Walde Immobilien AG, die Mensch und Immobilien zusammenbringen.
Good day, John. Well done. popular, our new thing popping up. People like this very much, I think. So, yes.
I'll tell Hans-Jörg that we need together maybe $500 more.
Oh yeah, We need an additional
for special effects.
An additional ticket for the co-op now. Yes, a new voucher. Because the Netherlands are just plugging away, huh? They did. Yeah, step by step. Look,
I think
I'm sure it was a close game, but you know they
have been
good on them.
5, 6 or 7 years ago in the final here.
Yes, they have.
And then everybody saw now that.
Yeah, that's true. And then
there was no progress.
Exactly. Yeah, they were always in quarter-final, semi-final, but not quite. Right. This is fantastic. No, I'm delighted for them. Absolutely, I'm delighted. And the young Norwegians as well.
Yeah. And underestimated them. Hoestmaelingen. I told them, guys, I like your aggressive
Me too. Yeah, I love their attitude. So positive, and yeah, why not? Let's play with it. Absolutely. Exactly. Right. They love to throw as hard as they can, and these guys haven't seen them hardly throw a huge shot, and they're now in the semi-final. You know, and so yeah, how much even if they would lose semi-final, they will get 4,500. That's enough for their season or something, huh? Good on them. Yeah, I was saying, you know, if you didn't hear about this team before, guys, I said, well, there are 19 teams who know all about them now. They are very familiar now. Yeah, exactly. Whyte just found out about them as well. So goodness me.